let's see what our Mokia player gets on this second half of the game. And this is only this is all he's going to get for cards, right? There's only 12 cards in the deck. Corporate raid. He can choose a company not nationalized or syndicalized, and gain control. I assume not wiki syndicalized. There are some possible values here. In fact, I believe what I want is to grab one of the democracies. In particular, the EU looks the safest to grab. That's going to give me voting capabilities. What I've got to compare, though, I'm going to do that. Bang. Much as I'd like to hit the mouse, this gives me a clear control and more power, I feel. I don't know, the mouse wouldn't have hurt me either. This is also a somewhat more defensible area. And, hey, it's mine. I could have bumped someone out of there. Yeah. Democracies are so weak. Okay. So now, which one's going to make me a better payoff? Here I have 3 total competitors. Here I have 3 total competitors. I have more markets here, though. Oh no, I have the same in each. Yeah. So I'm going to trigger off a payout because I want to make money. And I'll trigger it off over in the finance industry. There's 3 total competitors, $6. I get 3 times that because I have 3 companies, which makes 18. Call it 20, and now I'm up to $60 and doing pretty damn well. Once you set up a good little engine, you want to make sure it runs for you. And by taking the paid marker, well, now Globo is set up, and they can take the paid marker on the next round. Globo's not happy with where they are now. I'm really not sure what to do. It might be time to think about going military, but I won't get many. See, some of the other people went and grabbed the military power bases, and that makes it very difficult for me, unless I hand over a hunk of cash, to get a decent sized army. And I'm not sure the people who are most capable, Windows and Lenovo, particularly want to fund me, although if I give enough money, of course they will. I'm going to have to think with Global. I feel like my biggest opportunity is to open up oil. So I'll do that. I hope there's enough time left in the game that I can do this. Where do I throw it? Well, the wiki syndicalization is risky. The Caliphate has a little bit more defense, so people aren't going to be able to jump into that as easily. I think I'll go there, even though it's a dictatorship. And it could end up just nationalized. What about Lenovo? They want to trigger a payout really badly. They need to take that kleptocracy away from Windows. They don't have an easy way to do that. In fact, their military strength has gone downhill. So they'll largely be willing to leave that alone. Their democracy here doesn't help them much. What can we do? Well, I think it's time to hit the mouse. And they have a defense of 3, make it 4, but I've got tons of attack capability. 1, 5, plus all of these. So I'll spend one of my soldiers to get me into here. Now I can trigger the kleptocracy immediately, and I'll do so. And the mouse is gone. And weakened. But he's not the richest guy on the board right now. The richest guy is Mokia. I could, of course, take this away, but that doesn't really hurt him. I could have invaded the European Union and booted Mokia out of something. But again, Mokia's just triggered their payment. So I should be able to catch up to that, somewhat, I hope. Come over here to non-Nintendo. Oh boy. We're in kind of a crappy position where we don't have a lot of choice, things open. We could get our military. We're kind of pissed at Lenovo, and Windows knows that. Windows might be willing to take a reasonable amount of cash to support giving 3 extra military to non-Nintendo. Maybe. Yeah. So, what are you talking about here, buddy? Because Windows does not have money. They're not doing very well here. Maybe $5 for the 3. Yeah, we'll go with that. So we're going to do a military, not a military action, but a military build-up. And we'll pay $5 to use Windows' 3. I get 1 for my own bio folks. And now there's 1 other available for purchase, which I also will buy, giving me a little stack of military at least. 5 guys. No, my problem is I have no army, but it adds some threat. I can go in and take something over and then kind of try to snowball that. Like if I take something like the Caliphate over, of course, you know, Lenovo could spend their mercenaries to defend the Caliphate, but then they're gone. Speaking of which, we're over to Windows. He can take over a dictatorship. And he still hasn't used this. Where do we have dictatorships? That would be helpful to nationalize this. Likewise. Less valuable. Windows itself is interested up here. There are no dictatorships I could trigger to help me with that. I think I'm going to do this because we're coming around to Lenovo and I can't decide on an action. Well, this actually doesn't prevent my action. I may want to hold off if I'm doing military action, because it'll cost me one of these. So, what would Windows want to attack? Probably with Great Russia in my hand. I would love to take Japan from Lenovo. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Well, I could boot non-Nintendo. Could I take Wiki Syndicalism here away from Mokia? That doesn't really help me. If I Wiki Syndicalize this, it just hurts Globo. And that's not terribly valuable for me. Anytime I hit Lenovo, I'm in trouble. And that's kind of the problem with most of these others. An attack on the US probably would not be well regarded. What about hitting Japan? I'm back 2 there. We're equal. And we'd wipe everything out and make this guy the military power. Shit. Got some power here. This is a dictatorship. I don't like it. India. I could grab India and protect myself a little bit. Or I could just spend $4, install myself into the software over here. I've got a pretty good market there that I can run. It's not like I don't have a good one already, though. You don't really need more than one industry to run your money off of, but there are cards and stuff that might help with others, and it overall gives power. And I wanted to do this coup. I have to blow a mercenary for it, and that gets me a dictatorship. We'll take China. That's kind of nice because that opens this up to me, and I'll be able to increase my overall power there. And I can immediately nationalize this, which is why I went in there in the first place, was to do harm rather than good. What about the mousy? Mouse isn't going to get to trigger anything in a long time. We have almost no power on the board. We may want to invest in places where we get to ride along with people, though. So, not here. The democracy and nanotech might be worth something to us. We'll push our way in there, and nobody can oppose that. Now Lenogo could kick us out, but they don't really care too much about it. And that boots us around another time. Okay, and let's draw one for the Globo player, who gets elections. Choose a democracy. Elections are held. Media companies get a vote. I'd rather hold on to this. I don't see it being terribly helpful at this point, except to hand things over to Mokia. I think we're late enough in the game that if I don't take my trigger here to get my points, I'm basically passing up some value. And what that kind of means, well, other people can stomp on the next player. It's not like they get that advantage right away. There are going to be several turns after them. But I'm going to fire this off over in the food sector. And there's 1, 2, 3 different competitors. I get $18. Just really have to try scoring your points at this point. And that's kind of what it devolves into. You know, the first time around, especially with the first player, he probably doesn't want to trigger something off for a couple of bucks. But as you get later and later in the game, whoever's the first player pretty much has to do this just to generate some income. It's very unlikely that they're going to have something they can do that's worthwhile, that's worth more than the value is on this as you get further into the game. And that's kind of a minus in terms of with the large number of players. Like I've been saying, I'm not sure it's as good a game in a lot of players. Even through that first round through, the first few people probably don't have a good trigger to go, but by the time you get to the second half of the board, people have had 3 actions already. They can probably make a decent amount of money off them. Anyway, let's go down to our big pile of cash of mercenaries here. He's got a shortage. He's got every plan of trying to fire this off. And no easy way to improve his position. This is already all blocked off. Except I could hit Windows. You know, throwing myself up against them though. I have 6 mercs. They should have 5 because they did something with the coup last time. I'd be left with 1 merc, and then Nintendo would be far and away in the lead in the mercenaries fight. And I wouldn't get a chance to put this in place. I had to do it last time so that I could afford to buy it. I don't see other industries where I've got a huge advantage. I could push into here, but I'm not going to fill it up in time. It's what I'm going to do, but it's not going to be triggered for this. This is playing for the end game here, throwing this into play. The Caliphate falls, the Caliphate falls. You know, I might just want to invade the Caliphate. That's cheaper. Give me my money back. Yeah, because I don't think anybody's going to particularly defend against it. Globo doesn't have a lot of mercs, so they can't do much. So why don't we try that? We have 1, nothing, versus a defensive 4, so we can get in. I don't think anybody's terribly interested in stopping me, so I'll pay my price, and we take the Caliphate. That gives me a little bit more strength towards being able to inject myself into other markets. There are going to be several turns going through. Even if next turn I'm going to be firing off my economic payout. Non-Nintendo. Ooh. Pile of mercenaries. Anywhere I want to drop them. Can protect my holdings here if I so desire. That would give me some military power. I don't know how worthwhile that is. I could be buying up. I can't go here anymore. I can't go here. I could jump into my grab. At least that's a dictatorship. But India protects some of my stuff. Yeah, we're going to go for Maghreb and drop. Again, nobody really cares. It's just a country. It's not, going to make money or anything. The cost to carrying is quite high, because you have to throw in a whole bunch of mercenaries to face down the pile he's got. You basically have to spend a significant amount. Over at Windows. We're going to get in here. Got a nice run across here. We got this dictatorship. It's time to buy our way in. And we've got a nice set there. Let's see. The mousy. Very little of value anywhere. No control over anything. We're really just looking at, okay, what can we stick ourselves into that we won't get screwed in? Could jump over here. That's a democracy. We're just trying to get into markets at this point and not lose too much of our money. Where was the democracy? India. We don't have anything here. Is there anywhere where we have anything that we can improve ourselves on? Aerospace. At least we could get a couple there. What were we looking at? We were looking at the oil down here. Because the thing is, if we stick ourselves into... No, we were looking at robotics, I think. If we stick ourselves into robotics in India, we could get a maximum of about 2. If we go over here, well, there aren't really a lot of options there either. We can get a maximum of about 2. All right, we'll go into the India robotics. You figure Disney does a lot with robotics, right? And now over to Nokia. Again, trying to get a score. Can we do anything of value here? It's a democracy. We'll be blocked there. It's a dictatorship. We won't be blocked in a dictatorship. But we could be nationalized out of existence. And that's not very good. So... unless we could come up with some kind of deal with Windows. We're kind of more interested in trying to find places where we can score some money. Now, what are we going to score? Well, that's a good question. It depends on how many competitors there are. But as long as it's under 4, we make money off of putting a piece down. And that's why it's appealing to keep playing, as long as somebody's not just going to take it away from us. Nokia can connect up with that. It's a wiki syndicate. It's under our control. Yeah. That's definitely a place to be. That's in fact why we were there. And now we move the active player marker down another. Okay, it's Lenogo's game. And they draw. Subversion. Select one of the countries involved in the war. If on the attacking side this country's force doesn't contribute to the attacker, if it's the defender's mercenaries, only the defender's mercenaries counter the trouble. That could be useful. It would still blow a whole set of mercs though. And I'm not ready to do that quite yet. I'm going to play the shortages and do a payout in the defense industry. Get my cash takeover for this turn. There are 1, 2, 3 different defense industry, but the shortage drops it to 2. I'm the only one in there, so I get 24 bucks. Not as good as I had hoped. I had tried to set that up so that it, was going to be a big payout that would give me the game, basically. Well, I don't have that opportunity, but this is maybe the last time I get to do a payout. On Nintendo. We're getting set up for a payout right now. We can't do anything about filling our slot. We could buy into something else. So this is a 3. Remember, this still isn't in the game. This is a 3-area payout. 3 different competitors. If I went here, it would be worse. I'm not going to get anything particularly better. I've got a pile of troops. Do I own anything that could help me? I own Maghreb, but that's not really very helpful. I could go take over in India without much effort. Just not seeing a lot of places where I see an advantage for myself. Getting the extra money here in the long run would be nice. So I'm going to spend my $4, I guess, and boost myself here. Who knows what opportunities might arise, although it does become kind of static as you go. That goes to Windows. Really set up nicely. Somebody ought to take that crap down. Before they get a chance to make tons of money off of it. They really don't have many options other than going, they could go military somewhere. Helpful. I could knock Mokia down there. I could knock Globo down there. Globo is doing okay. They've gotten their big cash payout already. I think the big money right now, this is near 60. The mouse is probably the thing that I most would want to hit if I'm going to hit something. Unfortunately, I don't see anywhere where I can just hit the mouse. I could take somebody else's thing out and then in another turn force the mouse out of, say, out of this metals. The mouse isn't set up for big money though. Globo is. I think I'm going to go. I wish I could hit Mokia actually. It might be the better shot. They've got a whole string here on the financial sector. If I go into the European Union, will anybody be too upset with me? I don't think so. So we're looking at 6 if China and Russia hit the European Union. They got a defense of 4. I easily beat them. Mercs versus Mercs. Windows goes in. And now I get to hit Amokia. And I'm going to give him his $4 back. Using the power of eminent domain. I'm not improving my own payouts, but I'm hitting someone else, I think. Other targets wouldn't really help me. I can't get rid of Globo. I could wiki syndicalize them. Alright, on to the Mousy. The Mousy only wants to spend money. Not a safe place. Might just spread into the European Union. I don't see any real harm to that. Can't take both of them. Probably best off in the aerospace sector. So let's place ourselves not in the NAFTA section. We want to be in one of these two. We'll go into the Windows one. Gets us over to Mokia. Now Mokia just got shut down out of something and they don't have an easy way to get back in, do they? Their defense industries are cut down. They could go into one of these. Well, they can't go into a... They could go in here, but then they could get nationalized immediately. How willing Windows is to spend another effort on that, it's hard to tell, but they're clearly doing quite well. Likewise, over here, can't really get in there easily. I think we've got our extent of expansion into those territories. you know, get some cash, right? Make sure other people don't get too much cash. And we'll take the democracy here. No one can stop that. On to Globo. Globo would love to grab these. They don't have the kind of force to do so. They're happy with their holding there. Can they improve their holding here? You can buy into this. Can't be stopped there. This is dangerous. See, if I start improving too much, though, Lenogo takes me out. But that's an action. Can they afford that action? I don't know. What else could I do with my money? That's always the problem. I could buy into spreading things out again. I'll buy myself up into here in the aerospace industry as well. And that gets us this to move. Guess I'm ready to move on with this player. I noticed there are 4 cards left. I either dealt out too many cards or skipped somebody's draw. Either way, I don't want to give that additional advantage. It should go around evenly. So this guy pulls this. Treat it as if there was one more competitor than there actually is. This is useful if somebody else is doing their payout. I can bone them. In particular, I'd be looking at Windows has a good payout there. That would be good to bone. And then, of course, the mouse is also good to bone just for the sake of they have a lot of cash. But I don't know if... I just don't know if I'm going to have much effect on them there. If they do a payout, it's not going to be a major one. They may actually not even be doing one. So I probably want to play it out over on Windows when they do one. Okay, what about non-Nintendo? Can I get away with a payout here of any value? I kind of have to do it anyway here. Just because it's so late in the game, I don't think that there's anything... Well, wait, there's 1, 2, 3 competitors here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm better off doing this. I have the same amount in each. So 3 competitors means $6. I get a dozen and the mouse gets 6. Yeah, part of these late cards become much less useful. So this one, you know, I might be able to hit the mouse lightly, but he's probably going to select this, which I don't know. Windows does not have a lot of money. What will he get? Well, he's got 2 competitors and he's got 4 different times that, so he'd be getting a fair amount of money, putting him up in the range. And then if there's another payout afterwards, he might well be in the lead. So I think he's the one I want to hit with it. Okay, that puts it on Windows. Jeez, what do we do with Windows? I'm going to take a break because my pipe went out. Here's my feeling with Windows. They could knock off people. That might attract bad attention. Another thing they can do is try to protect things they hold. They've got some nice sets in play now. This one nobody owns. That's not a problem. They have both of these. This one nobody owns. They own. Someone else owns. I feel like I want to protect my investment there by making a quick invasion of Megacorps. People aren't too upset about the idea of a democracy falling to someone. So I doubt there's going to be any great defense. So here we have 6, 7, 8 force against 3. So I'm at +5, plus I have more of these. So we're going to expend that to get into Megacorps. We could buy out Globo's food. That seems like a good idea. They have something of a collection of it. The only danger is someone else might slip in there I like less. Globo's got a decent amount of money. They're getting $4 for their food. As we use eminent domain to kick them out. Or whatever it is. Antitrust. Okay. What about Mousy? Mousy's got good money. Although maybe not much better than Globo's here. And I can't really get my way into those. Those could be taken away from me, shut down fairly easily. I'm just looking for some place that I can put a marker to make some extra money. I could get into the food realm here. That's pretty safe. I could get into the finance realm. That's pretty safe. Both are about equivalent. I don't think it makes much difference. Oil, this is fairly safe. Not so safe. Yeah, it's hard to tell. But I don't want to take my risk on dictatorships. We'll go into the food here. That makes a nice little line. Yeah. Mokia. I feel like Mokia has gone as far as they can on the robotics there. They can't get into the finance easily. They have no army or anything. They're not going to get a good overall later payout. So now it's kind of look for something safe. This looks kind of safe. It's theirs after all. Why don't we buy that? Prevent someone else from making us have to think too hard about whether or not we want to knock them out of there. Oh, poor Globo. Not a lot of good places. This, you know, we might just make the, hey, Windows, do you want to knock us out of there? You can, but we have a card. We can throw an election into play. That does nothing good, because Mokia has all the media. And we're kind of running out of options here. I think we're going to pay to get more aerospace. I'm not sure we're going to get away with this. But it's kind of a question of, hey, does Windows want to waste their turns, where they have things that they can do that are of value, to nuke my capacity to make a little bit of money? Subversion. Yeah, this is a pretty useless card, actually. It could give you, it might work if I go to war now. Is there somewhere I want to go to war as Lenogo? Lenogo has power running through here. Windows is what I'd want to hit, this kleptocracy. That would be very appealing. We could probably get the most money off of that. I think we're going to hit that. And we're going to play this, which prevents the defending company. Well, we may not need it, right? Because we have a lot of countries. So 3, 7, 11. We're at like +9. So we're going to win the fight. It's just we're going to use up a lot of our mercs. But Windows has been using its mercs pretty heavily. So it seems worthwhile. And we just jumped into Great Russia. This is a particularly valuable place to jump into. And nobody's opposed to us doing this because Windows looks like they're in the lead. This is nice because we could grab either the metal or Windows' software for free. And the next turn, well, we probably want to do this once, but we also want to break up the Windows set. For now, Windows is going to fire off a payment next. We want in on that payment and to hurt them. That's probably the best move. This is more attractive to us in the long run, but we'll take that later. Okay, and that runs us through. Active player moves. So, Windows does not want to play this asteroid card they just drew. They will, perhaps, on the final turn so that they can build in here and get a little bit more cash. But as of right now, their big goal is to do the payout and catch the software or this one. Now, Globo and Lenogo are both. Lenogo looks like the safer thing to tag along, so I'm going to run this one. So that's 3 competitors. Lenogo's going to get $6 for that. And Windows gets its 18. We may have to make unchange fairly soon. And that gets me the paid marker, and we're almost done here. What did Mousy want? So, if Mousy goes in here, it will be stolen unless lots of people sleaze into the area at the same time, and even then, it doesn't seem like a great buy. So what I want to do is find some place where I can go safely. This is a safe spot. Dictatorships might be, might not. I'm less interested in that. There's another safe spot here. I could be denied, but that's all the more reason. So I can't be denied as the mouse, but Mokia could be denied. But if I go in here, well, either one's the same. They're both owned by a player. Yeah, those are the only democracy spaces. So I'm just going to buy my way into one of them. Doesn't really make too much difference which. Get the Mokia. Problem here is Windows gets another action. I'm probably going to buy something like that, maybe on the last turn of the game. The seating order matters though there. Same issue with this. Those would be nice scoring places. Is there any place I'm safe? I'm really kind of left with no actions that I can see that feel particularly safe. Yeah, if I spend money and an action here and that gets nationalized, that doesn't do me any good whatsoever. Do I want to chance that, or do I want to buy myself a military? My military, I'd only get 1 for $1. Alright, do I want to take a chance and see if people... Yeah, I'm gonna see if people's self-interest ends up winning out against trying to knock down somebody who may be in the lead. Now, do I necessarily want to put in one of these places? Or would I rather... I can't go in there. I'll go down here because Lenogo's not doing too well. They might not really care too much about who the winner is and just be looking to pad their own values. We're probably in a similar case with Globo here. Walking into a kleptocracy is just a danger unless you can cut some sort of deal. We've got a good deal of money. You know, to keep pace with them, we'll go in as well with the, hey, if you're gonna stop someone, why me? You know, am I really in the lead, or is it someone else? No go. The war bonus. I've got a couple of mercs, so I could still go into someplace, but I don't think that's terribly valuable. I think what I want to do is either screw people over or work within all these companies that I have holdings in. I definitely want this. I went out of my way to build that. That's big money for me. Nintendo. I've got a dictatorship here. That's someplace I'm safe at least. What's my card? Oversupply. You know, I should have hit Windows on this. Let me, because I can never remember to use cards when they're reactive cards in a solo. Let me take some money away from people. So instead of $6 per, they should have gotten $4 per. It raises the number of competitors, which means Lenovo owes $2 and Windows owes 6. Just going back to the payout option to get rid of that card without any effect, without any bad effects. Otherwise, I don't know. I was certainly planning on playing it, but I can never remember reactive events. Alright, I got a pile of military. I can probably do something pretty decent with that, I'd guess. No force. So I can go after pretty much something with a defense of 3 or less. Who would I like to hit? Taking that from Windows might be good. Windows has no money. Let's look at everybody's money. Who's got what? These guys... Windows has some money hidden under there. These guys have 40 and they haven't done their run yet. Now their run's not that impressive. Globo looks pretty rich. One of the problems is the mouse doesn't own anything. Globo doesn't own anything. How about that? So I can't affect either of them. So we're looking at 49 for Nokia. I want to go after Nokia. Okay. They're my richest competitor. What can we get? We could go in here and wiki syndicalize something like this. And that's all Nokia owns. So what did I say my strength was? My strength was 0. Well, I have 4 mercs. So I can go in against that 2 defense. I have to spend a merc no matter what. This is no longer Nokia's. And I can syndicalize one of their things. And I'll hit this one. Which works well enough. And that is the second to last turn. And here we are at the last card. Greedy kleptocrats. Choose kleptocracy. The country goes up for auction. Oh, this is a painful type of card because it changes the whole nature. Everybody's one company, one country is going to immediately be valued, and everybody's got to figure out just what it's worth to them, what it's worth to their opponents. Oh, what a bitch. I almost wish I hadn't drawn this. Well, I certainly wish I hadn't drawn it. So the mouse is interested in this one because it hooks up one of their metal sets, and they may be able to get it cheaper than anyone else. Hey, there actually aren't many of these. This one is perhaps even more interesting to me. So I'm gonna put the African Federation up to a bid, and the question is, who's it worth? You know, how much to? Basically, Lenogo is going to be pulling 1, 2, 3 competitors $6 off of it. That's what it's worth to them on their own. So they could bid $5 to protect it without any problem. What about the mouse? And we're playing this card. The mouse is probably the only person interested enough to bid against them. It's going to cost, and if they do, they don't really get it unless an election auction gives you an immediate yeah, there doesn't seem to be an advantage. So the question for the mouse is, if I do a payout right now, I make 3 competitors times 2, I make $12 off that. So I've got to at least make $12 off of purchasing this to even be worth bidding on it at all. Lenogo is going to bid $1, right? If they have to. Actually, they don't have to bid anything if nobody else does. So 3 of them at 6. I'm sorry, 3 competitors. 2 of them at 6 is $12. If I may, and we'll be getting that twice. So let's call it $24. If I make Lenogo go, then there's only 2 competitors times 3 is $24. I break even by buying this. However, it does have a cost to Lenogo to hold on to it. So am I going to bid, say, $1 to take it away from them? Yes. Is Lenogo going to bid? Yes, 2. I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to make Lenogo pay $2 to keep it, because I don't believe that they're going to win the game. I don't believe they're my challenge, and I don't want to get stuck with a losing proposition of paying money to make the same money less guaranteed. And now I'm going to take my paid marker, and we're going to, are we even going to do that one? We don't have to. Another one might have been better, but it looks like that's the best I can do. So again, $12 for the mousey for paying that out. Windows is going to get $6. And Lenogo gets $6. If that came with a free conversion, like a military attack would, it would be somewhat more interesting. But he would have to take his action to convert this. Puts us on Mokia. Mokia, no cards. I gotta take a break. I'm fatigued. I'll be back in a moment. Then lighting my pipe, one of the things I took that moment for was just to count out the cash, because this is an important point in decision making. What Mokia is going to say is, we don't think Windows is going to trash us if we go into that robotics. And that's our most valuable location we can go to. Why? because we're at 49 bucks or so. These are at like 60. 57, somewhere in there. Although they're not going to make a lot of money. Neither is Globo, actually, but depends on what they go into. But we're making the bet that we'll get away with moving into a dictatorship. And that might actually give us the game, but you know, we don't know. That puts us over here. I don't think these guys have anything they like. They could throw a democracy up for sale. That doesn't really do anything that I can think of. Let me consider this. So the media will go to Mokia. Mokia's already taken their turn. Taking a democracy away from someone who maybe has the power to do something. Is that useful to us? Well, we could take this one away, but you know, we're not being threatened there. So I don't think we particularly want to to change the government there. What about this one? We're potentially threatened here. If that went to Mokia, it would mean we would not be threatened. But, you know, we don't know whose hands it's going to fall into. If we call it an election, Lenovo may not be willing to oust us from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn to Lenovo and say, hey, if I throw an election in Japan, you probably won't end up holding it. For whatever that matters. He'll say, so what? You know? Yeah, he's just going to say, so what? So, in a real game, there's a chance that you could convince somebody with that. There are people who, you know, maybe aren't so aware, but when I'm aware of what's going on, I'm not going to cut a deal that's silly. So, you know, I just don't see any reason to play the card or not play it. In particular, Mokia, if they win the election, they decide the election. If they choose to win it for themselves, it's all good. If you know, it protects me. But if somebody else wins it, how do I predict their actions over Lenovo's? Unless there's someone I can cut a deal with, and I am close to, if not in the lead. So it's going to be really hard to help anyone out. Lenovo looks like they may need to pad their own pockets more. Which, of course, somebody might give them something nice in exchange for shooting down my stuff. Hard to tell. All right, so where can we slip into? Because that's basically what it comes down to. Clearly, if we go here, we're going to lose that. Same with the oil there. If we could take the kleptocracy, that would be great, but we can't. This we may not get hit in. This we really can't get hit in. I'm going to put my $5 into buying my way here. Now Lenovo could shut me down there, just like they could over in Japan. But, you know, they can't shut both, so I just bought myself an advantage. That puts us over to Lenovo. Oh, such a useless card, unless you have a really close battle. Do I want to invade someone? That's a possibility. I have 2, 3, 4, 5 strength. I could go in and take pretty much anything I like. Is there a kleptocracy that's interesting to me? There are only 2 kleptocracies and I own them both. Well, you know what? I want that. External alarm system. Okay. So I guess we're over here with non-Nintendo. Do we have anything interesting we could do? Is there anywhere we can make good money? Yeah. Nobody can do shit over here now. Lenogo's done. I'm in. This is one kind of weird thing about the game. You know when it's over, so you can just stick your nose in somewhere else. I guess it's okay. And now Windows goes last, which is an advantage here again, in terms of I can go into anything but a democracy and be pretty safe. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I can create the asteroid, place a control marker in the asteroid metal company. It is now in the game and you control it. Well, there's just a bonus. Would be a real bonus for someone else, like Mouse. If I was really clever, I could now start negotiating, which I may. So let's see, that's Windows. Does Windows have anywhere where they could get something useful from Mouse? Not terribly. So basically what I was looking at is they could trade this for maybe a position somewhere else that helps them. And they could anyway. This position might be worth more to them after they purchase. So now, where could Windows help themselves the most? And they're largely in already filled out commodities. And at this point, players could also do a lot of big horse trading in terms of, hey, I got 3 here, you got 1. Is there some place where you have 3 and I have 1? Well, not in that case. I'm not going to bother with that. But that, I think, is going to be a part of almost any game. I just don't want to deal with that much pure negotiation right at the end of the game, because it's scoring time now. You know, everybody can kind of eke out their deals at this point, and I would rather not go into that for good reason. So I'm not really seeing anything where we get a definite jump in value. So there's 1, 2, 3 competitors here. There's only, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what I'm counting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 competitors here. There would be 1, 2, 3 in solar, so that is valuable. I'm looking for the best place to go for my last piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not good. Can't take. Oh, this is Windows. I might have something. Do I have a kleptocracy? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think solar's my best buy. Let's make sure I make money off of it. 1, 2, 3. I do. So we'll buy into solar. That gets us here. And now, all cards are done. These aren't going to be able to be played anymore. Most of them don't have any real effect anyway. So what we go to is simply scoring each one of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out that money. Well, I think I'll just spreadsheet it rather than paw through all the cash. It's about the same amount of work for me. I have plenty of waste paper, and it allows me to display something that's a little bit more useful. I don't want to run through the video of me handing out lots of cash. Let's, the battery wasn't hooked up right. This happened in a recent video, my negative reviews question. My power cord just wasn't hooked to my battery properly somehow. So let's take a look at how things kick out. First thing we have is the cash along the bottom here, and what is it? The mouse and Globo were both sitting with 57 bucks in cash. Huh. I didn't realize they were tied. Of course, the mouse had just gotten a payout. And everyone else a little beneath that in the 40s range. The payouts, well, where you had big, conglomeration of force, you would see maybe 3 people shared that. So, shit, there it goes again. So, let's see. Something like media would pay $6 each, and people pulled in pretty much as maximums on any given company, 18 bucks. That's, but here's the thing. If you're riding someone who has dominance in the market, your piece counts as much as every one of theirs. So if you're in kind of this shared position with one other person in a market, and they're in a shared position with you in a market, you're both making pretty good money. Now you could increase that with the horse trading at the end of the game. There's no question. Anyway, when we boiled it all down, what we ended up seeing was what looked surprisingly like everybody doing quite well, and then a quick dip, and then boom, a big hit for the mouse. And what that tells me is collecting that early money was valuable. Getting that money early really helped, even though it didn't really make me a good engine that I was able to, take a powerful position in the game. It seems to have beaten out taking the military option. And the person with the biggest military option came in last, Windows. They're the ones who started with the military. Now remember, they were forced to pay a premium on their military almost right off the bat before they got to use it. They also ended up invading things that didn't terribly help them. The territories they ended up with control over were not kleptocracies, which are the really valuable thing. And in fact, Lenogo, with a couple of kleptocracies, ended up with a great deal more power overall. Just because the ability to hurt someone with a dictatorship or even a democracy or a wiki syndicate is, okay, great, I'm going to take my turn to hurt someone. That's somewhat counterproductive, right? If they're the clear leader and everybody else is going to do something to hurt them, great. But if I'm the only one doing this because I'm the only one in a position to do so, I had better be getting something for my effort. Someone's got to offer me something. We didn't see that going on. The only thing that having territories, and this is what I was hoping with Windows by grabbing the biotech, for example, although they got an early start on that, would help, is no one's going to throw you out. You're safe in those areas, but you're expending effort on something to gain control of things, to know you're safe, where maybe you were safe anyway because the other guy's not going to waste a turn to kick you out unless you were clearly in the lead. So I feel like Windows kind of didn't get the idea of the game. I think these guys kind of did. Globo is the most similar to the mouse, and set up pretty much the same at the end of the game, really. They had a lot of cash at the end, as did the mouse. The mouse just happened to have chosen better places. Now, what if the horse trading had taken place? Let's take a look at a little bit of what might have happened here. It would be pain. You know what it is? It gets painful because it's like sitting down at a game of Monopoly for the one turn where there's big deals in Monopoly, except it happens right at the end of the game. And it's essentially, a calculable situation. So, for example, Mokia would love to get a mouse or a Globo piece here. All right. Well, let's say I wanted to do so. What would I be looking for? I'd be looking for what could I trade to one of them. And Globo might be interested in the trade, and this whole calculation could have been done beforehand, right? We could figure out who wins and then take this other step and see who wins after the horse trading. So if I hand, and obviously these trades people are willing to make trades that maybe aren't as much to their advantage if it's with someone who's doing very poorly on the overall score. So a trade with Windows, for example, that helps Windows a good deal might be worth making if it gives you a shot to catch up towards the leader there. So what we'd see is an increase in values here to get around that. So let's see. Can Windows make any trades? They would love to take this from non-Nintendo. There's nothing right there. They would love it from Globo. Does Globo have anything? There doesn't seem to be anything that they can trade away here. Oh wait, there's a non-Nintendo here. So I bet you non-Nintendo would certainly trade with Windows. Now, is Windows willing to make that trade? Yeah, you know, it'll give them boost on everyone else. So we just quickly make that trade. But here's the problem. You start optimizing over 6 players to make this deals. Because honestly, it doesn't, it doesn't make sense. A lot of trades that are going to be out there aren't going to be 2-player trades. They're going to be 3-player trades. You can't do that though. Trades have to be between 2 players at any given time. So someone could get shafted in one of those multi-way deals. And I'm used to multi-way deals happening in Monopoly. And they would probably happen here too. It's just, at least theoretically, you would have to okay each segment of the deal. And because it's right at the end of the game, there's an opportunity to backstab there where there's really no consequence. So that, I think, would, if played right, would provide some inhibition towards multiplayer trades. So what just got gained here? Well, Windows in biotech is now, there's only 2 competitors, so those are 8 each. So let's see what we'd see as a change there. Windows would be getting, instead of 18, 32. Non-Nintendo got out, and Globo's up to 8, right? And likewise here, non-Nintendo is at 2 competitors. This is over in solar. They would get 4 times theirs, which is again that 32. Windows is gone, and Lenovo is up to 8. And you can kind of see there's going to be a balancing and an upward curve. I just don't feel like doing, this huge multiplayer optimization over the final board state. I think you get kind of an idea. Can this thing change the position in the game? Yeah, it could. So is our leading player, the mouse, sitting on a powerful set of deals, essentially? Because we can see here, the point spread isn't that far. It's about 20 points, right? Well, we saw a 20-point increase damn near on Windows and non-Nintendo from this deal. Now, they were the worst 2 players, but all the same, how much? They didn't get 20. Call it a 14-point increase for each. But there are a lot more deals out there. And my guess is, as you start seeing this, and you start, this would be great to do at the end with a spreadsheet so that you could track what the changes are, because very quickly, mouse wouldn't be in the lead anymore. And this whole rearrangement thing, I don't consider that end game portion to be something that I would really enjoy seeing happen. I think it would take about an hour without that spreadsheet in place, as people keep recalculating what the current situation is for each turn. And that's very depressing. But with a little electronic help, it would work pretty well. And you would see, let's see. So Lenovo kind of comes out behind because they've carefully set up a dominant position in a market throughout the game. And that's kind of the interesting part of the game, right? Setting that kind of strength up for the end game. And that ended up getting them into the second tier of players. But if they didn't, if that gets taken away from them, if that advantage gets taken away by all this horse trading at the end, it makes the game a little bit less interesting. Because what did we just see? We just saw non-Nintendo and Windows, who had kind of failed, gets themselves up there. So 14 more points puts him up to 91, which is right in there. Now, granted, Lenogo gained a couple of points, and someone else got a bonus off that too. What is the other one? Non-Nintendo here. Oh, Lenogo got the bonus both places. Kind of sweet, huh? Now, they would have the opportunity to cut a deal with Windows. Let's get rid of these because they're just confusing me. They don't really serve a purpose at this point. Get rid of any government changes as well. So in this case, let's see. Well, Windows and Globo don't really have a deal, and unless somebody else is in play, that's not going to happen. But at some point or another, you know, the mouse is going to be superseded by someone. And at that point, the whole kind of nature of the type of deals you're trying to make is going to shift. And now, you know, the mouse is no longer anathema because they're not in the lead. It's not who everybody's trying to catch. And someone else has just become the leader who can no longer be traded with. Personally, I find that it looks like it's going to be a real headache at the end of the game, and I just don't want to play through that. Could you do something like make a rule? Hey, last round of the game, you know, last time we go around total, or maybe last player's turn, there will be no deals. You could, and that would serve some purpose because some people would have to cut their deals for predictive purposes at that point. And we saw some of those happening, I think, earlier, a couple of them, not many. But yeah, this just doesn't strike me as a pleasant finish to the game. Something that probably takes almost as long as the game itself of just negotiation and haggling. If you do like that, that would be cool. If you don't like that, I think it's going to be hard to actually enforce a good rule to prevent that. All right, let's send this up, and we ate up a lot of time here. I'll come back with a review.